Welcome to part 4 of the forging of Locke's knife. Now in this video we're going to be drawing out the tang. Now this obviously the tang is the part that the handle basically slots into, and we're going for a full tang here. To do this I'm going to start off as you're seeing by dividing the blade from the tang, so making a sharp point where I know one side's the blade, one side's the tang, and I'm going to do that with the a fuller, and I can hammer this in as far in as it needs to go, and that divides the two parts, so I don't accidentally. It's easy to accidentally hammer the blade and ruin the transition. So that's what's going on here. So there's going to be a lot of serious steel being moved here. I'm going to be using a combination of hammers. I'm going to be using the sledgehammer quite a bit. So yeah. Enjoy.
There once was a time when the country was wild, a town before cars and planes and minivans. So to move things from one place to the other, the railroad was built. But it just didn't up and build itself. Nope, it was built by the railroad man. And among these men was a man among men, among men, among men, among men, among men. A man as tall as the sky and as wide as the land. A man who could lay track faster than anyone else could run. A man with the strength of 10 men. His name was John Henry. And I'm not gonna sing about him, no. I'm gonna sing about a lesser known figure. One who doesn't deserve a song. A man as lazy as 1,000 men. A man who could barely raise his own body off the ground. A man who was barely a man at all. His name was Mike McCormick. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man who never really gave a damn. Only thing he worked on was his hand. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man. Get up in the morning, hammering spikes, recipe of drinking the previous night. Rip his bones weren't feeling right. Rip it looked like it was gonna rain. He had a tendency to be late for work, and everyone around thought he was a jerk. He'd take long breaks, his size of back was hurt, then he'd have a drink to ease the pain. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man, never really gave a damn. Only thing he worked on was his tan. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man. Mike, get up! Mike, what is it? Get up, it's time to go to work. Already. Well, don't you want to hammer in those spikes? No. Oh. His arms are like twigs and his legs were like straws. His hands were like a baby's bum, they were so soft. He'd weave and moan and whine and cough, then go home and have a little nap. He never got fired cause he was the boss's son. He just hung around and bothered everyone. Well, he never drove a spike, not a single one, though every now and then he'd give a tap. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man, never really gave a damn. Only thing he worked on was his tan. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man. Mike! What is it? They say they got a big machine that they say can drive in nails faster than any man alive. Sounds like a good idea. No, you don't understand. You see, it's gonna cost us all our jobs. You, Mike McCormick, gotta prove them wrong. Okay. So he took his hammer and he hammered one time. Ow. He took his hammer and he hammered 2 times. Oh, he took his hammer and he hammered 3 times. No! And he got crushed by a meteor and died. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man, never really gave a damn. Only thing he worked on was his tan. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man, never really gave a damn. Only thing he worked on was his tan. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man. Mike McCormick was a steel-driving man.
Oh, hi there. You just caught me sitting down on a sofa with a knife, filthy dirty, after just coming in from forging, with the camera in front of me. It's convenient. Okay, so it's polite to take your hat off inside, but I can assure you what lies under this hat is far more impolite than actually wearing it, so there you go. So what we did, after that last clip, I tweaked the blade a bit, because basically the edge of the blade, as it was, and this normally happens after you've forged it, as you kind of go down it, it gets wavy sort of thing. It's very, very important to have that edge straight, and even more importantly, arguably, is the fact that it's got where the blade tapers to the point has got to be centered down the middle. Basically, like when you got your bar, you forge it to a taper. Now what you've got to be careful is that taper is centered and not at this angle or this angle, because if you've got it at an angle, you're going to hit it, but if it's not properly centered, a proportion of that force you're applying is going to go and twist like this, because it's at this angle and it hits, and it's going to go like that. Obviously, that's, especially for a chopping blade, it's very, very important that all the force you apply is transferred properly where you want it. So you've got to make sure that's all done, and I cut that out because, good God, it's literally, I must have been doing it for at least half an hour, just sitting there, ting, 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 on the edge, like really delicate and fiddly and not very interesting to watch. After I did that, I heated the whole thing up and I put it in perlite. Perlite is kind of, they use it for gardening, as, I don't know what I actually use it for in gardening, but there you go. It's kind of, they're beads and they're really good insulators, and you put it in there and that makes sure that the blade cools down slowly. That's annealing, and that softens it so you can grind it easier. So after that, I ground it, and I didn't include that because I hate grinding. It's really boring, especially when I haven't got a belt grinder yet. My belt grinder's not finished, so there's not much to see. There's a load of sparks. But right, here's what we got then after all that. This is what we're dealing with here. So it's looking pretty good. First of all, the clip, where obviously I did the bevels, and that curved this and curved the clip out. Curved the clip. So I'll just straighten that back up again on the grinder. Then I went over the edge, because if you look at it, once you've forged it out, and this happens no matter what you do, the edge is kind of, it's bumpy and rough. That's no good, because when you actually go to sharpen it, grind it and sharpen it, you'll find that your blade's all full of notches and nicks and stuff, and it looks horrible, and takes away from the performance of the blade. So it's important, go over it with a file until you can't see any low points. Once that was done, simply worked on the transition here between the tang and the blade, where we took the hot cut across, but we wanted a curved edge, so I just got in there with the grinding disc and rounded that off to make it look more like the one from the show. And then the tang I just worked on, reduced the thickness a bit so it could easily accept the finger guard that we're going to make later. I think it could have been a bit longer, the blade. This section here should have been a bit longer, but there's not much you can do about that. And the tang perhaps could have done with being a bit longer. But it's entirely workable, and I'm quite pleased with it so far. So what we're going to be doing next, actually, before I talk about that, what I noticed from the picture of the one from the show was that the crossguard, because this transition here is curved, the crossguard sort of sat, it wasn't properly butted up against anything, so it sort of did, it was at an angle, because it wasn't really, you couldn't secure it very easily. So what I've done, although you still got that curved transition, I've made a notch here, I don't know if you can see that, and a bit of a shoulder here, and that's where the crossguard will butt up against, and that should go in there quite securely and not move about at all. And then obviously the handle will come on as well. So that's what I'm going to do there, and hopefully make it a little better. So yeah, next video I'll either be doing the crossguard or the heat treating, or maybe both, depending on how we're feeling. And that'll be a case of heating this up to cherry red, quenching it in oil, that hardens it. Then we temper it either in the oven, just a normal domestic oven set at the right temperature, or, which is probably what I'll do, you use either the forge at a low temperature, or you heat up a block of metal, a big block of metal really hot, and you sit this on it with the back of the blade sitting on it. And this is called differential tempering. Basically what that means is that because the heat is going to travel from the back to the blade, and when it gets the right colour, which means the right hardness, you quench it to stop the tempering process. With this, you probably want to go for about a brownish kind of colour, which is quite a tough, but not quite so hard blade. So what you'd end up with, the blade may be brown, which is quite hard, but this will be blue because this will heat up more because it's closer. The back of the blade will be blue, and that's a really soft temper. And the advantage of that is that, especially with a chopping blade like this, you know, you're giving it some. There's going to be a lot of shock to be absorbed. Now, 5160 is very good at absorbing shock anyway, but with the back tempered softer, it helps it absorb that shock a lot easier because it's not as hard. It doesn't take away at all from the performance of the blade, and in fact, if you look at a lot of blades, older ones, they were either wrought iron main bodies with a forge welded higher carbon bit, although technically the higher carbon bit would also be wrought iron, never mind. But yeah, we're gonna, also they did differential quenching, which is the same principle but done during the hardening process, and that is, they used to use it a lot in Japan, and you get this and you get some clay and you pack it in clay apart from this edge, so apart from the edge you pack it all in clay, and you'd heat it up and quench it to harden it. Now because of the clay, the back of the blade won't harden as much, you know, it might not even get to the critical temperature, so it may not even harden at all, which is great. But this won't harden as much. So you've got, and you can even see when you etch it, and you can see the line, and you've got this really hard cutting bit here, but with a soft back, and that was, you know, that was important to them, and it still is. It's an important. It's a very useful way of doing things and making the blades last longer. Obviously, back then the blades would probably be used a lot more than they are now, and it'd be more critical that they work. Thankfully, that's not so important in this case. But you know, we use it anyway because it makes the better blade, and that's what we're out here to do. So, enough rambling about historical bloody methods of forging. So yeah, next video, either heat treating or doing the finger guard. Yeah, once again, I'm just going to stop now because this, I've made numerous attempts at doing this little ending segment, and each time I've gone on for ages and ages, rambling like I am right now. So the best thing I can do is to go, because yeah, this me talking to this has lasted it'll be 10 minutes. That's too long. That's like a whole video. I said at the start, I only want to make my videos 10 minutes long, and this is 10 minutes. That's a whole video. God damn it.